Welcome guys to my channel. So make sure you support by liking as well as subscribing if you haven't subscribed. Okay guys, so in this video we're going to look at the Substantia Nigra. Okay, so we're going to look at the Substantia Nigra in terms of its definition and location, and then we are also going to look at it in terms of its parts, and then we are also going to look at it in terms of its connections, and then we are going to also look at it in terms of its function, and finally we'll wrap up everything by adding a clinical correlation. Alright guys, so let's make sense. Okay, so what you are seeing here is basically a basal ganglia circuit. Okay, so basal ganglia circuit consists of some parts. Okay, but generally speaking, basal ganglia, it is involved in movement. Okay, so all the movement we do, basal ganglia plays a role in the movement. Okay, now for basal ganglia, for its activity to be initiated, it rely on the input, okay, from the cerebral cortex, okay, as well as the thalamus, as well as the substantia nigra and the red nucleus. Okay, so we are going basically to concentrate on the substantia nigra. Okay, so you can see the circuit of the basal ganglia. Okay, so here the cerebral cortex here send it information to this corpus striatum, and then this corpus striatum send it to globus pallidus, and then the globus pallidus send to the thalamus, and then thalamus send it back to the cerebral cortex. But notice that there is also subthalamus here, which is sending information to corpus striatum, and then there is also this substantia nigra, which we are going to concentrate, which is sending information to this corpus striatum. So this is our main focus in this video. Okay, it can also send information to the thalamus. Okay, alright, so now let's come over here. Okay, so where do you find the substantia nigra? So substantia nigra, it is basically a curved pigment band of gray matter. Okay, so it is a curved pigment band of gray matter which is located between the tegmentum. So this is the tegmentum here. Okay, or this portion is the tegmentum, and cross cerebri. Okay, so cross cerebri is this side. So between tegmentum and cross cerebri we find the substantia nigra. So this is basically within the midbrain. Okay, that is the brain stem, right? Alright, so now we know the definition and we know where we find this substantia nigra. So now let's talk about it in terms of its parts. Okay, so we come here. So in terms of the parts, so what are the parts of this substantia nigra? So it is basically divided into two main parts. So we have the dorsal part. So the dorsal part, it is called pars compacta. Okay, pars compacta. So this pars compacta, it is involved in the production of the neurotransmitter called dopamine. Okay, then we also have another part here, which is the ventral part now. So the ventral part, basically it is called pars. Okay, so there's S here. So pars reticularis. So pars reticularis, like this here. Okay, this part basically produce gamma aminobutyric acid, which is basically GABA. Okay, So these are two parts of the substantial Nigra. Okay, so now we know the parts. Now we go to the connections. Okay, what are the connections of this substantial Nigra? So we need to know these fibers which it sends to the copper striatum. So the fibers which are projecting from the substantial Nigra to copper striatum, it is basically known as the nigrostriatal fiber. So it is called nigrostriatal fibers. Okay, so these fibers we also have, we said it can also send information to the thalamus. So the one for thalamus is just the name which changes, so it will be, it is still maintained with nigrothalamus. Okay, so this is the thalamic nerve, which is the part of the fiber. Okay, so thalamic fibers. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now we know the fibers which are sent by this substantial Nigra. So now let's talk about its clinical correlation. So in terms of the clinical correlation, okay, before we go to the clinical correlation, let's come over here, we talk about it in terms of the function. Okay, since we know to say the substantial Nigra is part of the basal ganglia. Okay, and we know basal ganglia is involved in the movement. So obviously even the substantial Nigra, it is involved in the movement. Okay, so it controls movement. So let's write here, controls movement. Okay, that's the main function of this substantial Nigra. Okay, so let's talk about its clinical correlation. So in terms of its clinical correlation, we can talk about it. Okay, we can talk about Parkinson. So the Parkinson disease is a disease which results as, which comes about because of deficiency of dopamine, okay, in the copper striatum. So if we have deficiency of dopamine in here, it means the substantial Nigra is no longer producing dopamine. Okay, so it might be due to lesion, okay, or degeneration of the substantial Nigra. So if there is damage to this part, obviously we won't heal the dopamine, and dopamine is basically it basically plays a role in the muscle movement. Okay, then not only in this substantial Nigra, if we also damage these fibers which are transmitting the dopamine from the substantial Nigra to the copper striatum, it means the copper striatum will no longer have the dopamine, so that can lead to Parkinson disease. Okay, alright guys, so this is over to